Okay, so in this video I want to familiarize you with the tools and the basic layout of Pixlr. We are actually on a Padlet right now, but if we scroll over here, I wanted to show you guys a couple different images. First is, this is the basic look of the Pixlr Toolbox. So if you ever forget what any of these tools look like, all of these little icons correspond to the words over here, and most of the time, eraser tool, pencil tool, those pretty much tell you what it's supposed to do when you see the name of the tool. They try to help you out. There's also this options bar here, which I'll talk about more. It lets you kind of edit how these tools work. So if you ever forget, this is listed on our class Padlet about our Surrealist collage. We also have a little Pixlr Overview, which I highly suggest going through and reading. Again, it tells you a little bit about a lot of the stuff. If I click on this here, I don't want to download. I want to go down. There we go. So I can scroll down here. I suggest reading through this. There's a lot of really good information, and it's not terribly long. It gives you some pictures that go along with all of the different tools. It goes much more detailed into all the tools that I'm going to briefly just touch on this screen right here. If I click out of here, if I don't talk about a tool and you want to learn more, I suggest this one right over here. There's some really great videos. The guy's voice is a little interesting, but I think you guys will have fun checking out some of these. If I click on it here, you can see the website looks a little bit like this, and if you just scroll down, all of these right here are a bunch of different videos on how to do all sorts of different tools, and you can see they talk about just about every single one. I'm just going to briefly overview it. This guy right here will actually go into a lot more detail for you. So if we actually go to Pixlr, I have it open to the tab, but you can also choose the link right over here. And these are the instructions for how to get to the Pixlr Editor. You'll start over here. It'll give you this page. It actually starts you up on a page that looks like this. You either scroll down or you follow those two little arrow down. We're using Editor, so click Launch Web App. This is the introduction screen that you will have every single time. You can either create a new image, open an image from your computer, open an image from a URL, so from somewhere on the web, or you can open it from a library. So you can save if you've logged in, and you can log in with your Google account. You can save images to Pixlr. Now, it doesn't mean that you can take them into your Google Drive or you can put them on your computer. It just means that whenever you open Pixlr and you're logged in, your images will show up. We're just going to start by opening a new image. It gives you this little dialog box or display window, whatever you want to call it. It gives you the opportunity to name. You can say whatever you want to call it. Type that one in. You can change the presets, which change how big the size is, or you can individually go through and change how large you want your image to be. I'm just going to do a preset because it makes it a lot faster. You can choose transparent, which means see-through, or opaque. I'm going to leave it opaque for right now and click OK. So this is my new image. Nice blank white canvas to work with. A little bit about the layout of this program. You can see right up here, this is our menu bar with File, Edit, Image, Layer, Adjustments, Filter, View, Language, and Help. Just like you'd see in most programs. File gets you your basic saves, prints, close, sign out, open images. Your basic to start or to end something is going to be in your File section. When you go to Edit, it has my favorite button in the whole world, Undo, also known as Control-Z. So if you ever do something and you go, oh, that's not what I wanted to do, don't panic. Just a simple little Edit, Undo, or a Control-Z, and it'll undo whatever that last step was that you just finished. If you undo it and you realize, oh wait, no, I liked that, go back, you can just do Redo, which is right underneath that. Again, that one's Control-Y. These Control plus a letter, if you press the Control button plus that letter, it'll do that task for you. The more of those that you start memorizing and using over and over again, the faster you will start to go through your editing of your photos, and the quicker you'll become at this process. We have all the basic cut, copy, paste and delete functions under here as well. The free transform means you're changing something. So this free transform, it allows you to rotate, to change the size, to stretch, to distort, all under one thing. I lost my window for a second. Free transform, in order to save those changes, the only thing you have to remember to do is always click enter at the end. If you don't, it won't save them. Pixlr is really nice. It'll actually prompt you a lot of times with a little button that says, do you want to save changes? And you'll just have to click yes. Select and deselect are really important. You can also select something, then if you find you want the background instead of the object, you can click invert, which means to click the opposite. And this define brush we probably won't use. Image, this controls the whole thing, the whole picture, all of the layers all together. You can rotate again, you can change the size, or you can cut it and make it smaller. Layer, I'll get to in a little bit when we start talking about the navigation planes or the palettes. Adjustments, these are always really fun to play with. I'm going to let you guys explore those more. There are more demo videos about those that I showed you before, but some of this is kind of a test it out to see what it does kind of situation. Same things with filter. There's a whole lot of things to play with, lots of little toys and goodies for you guys. View just tells you what you're looking at. It's pretty simple. It talks about the navigator, the layers, the history. You want to make sure that all three of those things are being shown. Tool options, you also need to make sure that's this bar right here. I'm going to skip languages because we're all going to be using English, and help you can check out if you want to, but there's a lot of other resources for you guys if you need those. So the next thing we're looking at is these navigation palettes over here. So this one right here, it tells me where I am in the picture. So it shows me a mini version of my whole picture, and I can make it larger or smaller. So it's hard to really tell on this image, but if I were to go to File and open an image, we'll take our wonderful exercise A that we did together in another video, and you can now see I can zoom in and out, and this little red box here will tell me where in the image that I am. So if I zoom back out again. Layers down here, I only have the one layer right now because I saved it as a PNG file, which does not allow for layers. If I had saved it as a PXD file, I would have all of my layers and I would be able to click between them right over here, and it would list them as a bunch. An important thing to note is this little locked feature. Your background is automatically locked, but like I said, when I hovered it over here, it says double click to unlock the layer. If I just click twice, all of a sudden it's called layer 0, and now if I want to make any changes to it, I can. If it's locked, most of the time you cannot change certain features of it. Down here, this one right here gives me different settings for my layer. I can change the opacity, so I can make it see-through, or I can make it solid. Mode, just keep it normal for the most part, but you can play with those if you have time. We're going to skip this one and this one for right now. Right over here, it's to add a new layer. So if I ever want to add and put something, so say I want to make a box, I can just go over here and I made a box. And now when I move it, I'm moving just this box. I'm not touching the back layer here because these are two separate layers layered or placed on top of each other. If I decide, nope, I don't really want that box, making sure that this layer is the only one selected, I can press my little trash can here and it deletes that layer for me. If I decide, no, I wanted that layer back, I can either use the edit undo, or I can go down here to history and click back one layer, and all of a sudden it's back. This is really important to remember, that once you start moving back, you lose the steps that you did afterwards. So you have to make sure that wherever you're going back to, you don't need anything that comes after it, because all of that will be lost. If I start to move this guy around again, you can see everything that used to come after that has now disappeared. Alright. The next one I want you to pay attention to is this toolbar over here. This is probably the most useful thing that you will use in the entire program because it's how you get anything done. These top ones up here are all about selection. So this here is a cropping tool. You can see it changes the options bar up here. If you do move tool, there are no additional options. But if you do something like a lasso, it actually gives you two different types of the tool. So you can either do a freehand or a polygonal lasso tool. And it gives you some extra choices over here as well of how to fine-tune what you want that tool to do. If you get to this next, there's a little black line here. It separates this section. These are all of the drawing tools. So you can draw with a pencil, with a paintbrush. You can erase a drawing. You can use your paint bucket tool to dump a lot of color into a whole big area. This is a gradient tool, so going from a light to a dark area, and you can control how that goes across a specific area. The clone tool lets you copy different areas. To say you had a zit you wanted to cover up, you could actually copy some part of your face that was not having a pimple, and you could actually cover over a zit that was there. You need to be careful though, because that can sometimes make your image look a little fake or false. Color replacement, so you can select a color and decide, be in the right layer, select a color and decide to change it up. So now you can see that I'm switching up the color here and replacing it with something else, giving him a really awesome makeup job on Otis over here. This right here that I was on before is just making a shape tool. If you hover, it's called a drawing tool. So you have a bunch of different options. You can draw rectangles, rounded rectangles, ellipses, also known as ovals, or lines. These here are your correction kind of tools. You have a blur tool, makes things blur, sharpen tool, makes things more clear, smudge tool, so you can drag and smudge your image. You have a sponge tool that just kind of goes over, you can see how it pulls out different features. Like right now it's really picking up on the orange of the bricks. You can have a dodge, which makes things lighter. So if I decide my cat's too dark, I can go through and just kind of lighten it up. Burn tool is the opposite of dodge. A red eye, if I had a cat here that had a red eye, I could just click on it and it would correct it. I don't have an image of that right now, so I can't show you. Spot heal tool is similar to clone, but a little bit different. It's a little bit more advanced. We're not going to get to. Pinched and bloat, again, same sort of thing, more advanced. If you want to play around with them, feel free. We also have a type tool, so that's how I added that teacher sample on here. If I'm in my type tool, I can add text to my image, and it gives you a whole box down here, lets you change the fonts, the size. If you want to make it bold or italics, I can change the color just by clicking on it. And I can move these circles to change the color to whatever I want. And I click OK, and now my text is that color. If I want to find a color, if I say I love the color of this green right here, I want to make sure everything is that green, I can do that, and then I can go over here, and now that I'm in fill, I still have this color selected, so when I fill that in, it fills in with the green color that I liked. The hand tool and the magnifying glass. The magnifying glass is a really nice tool. If you need to zoom in on something, it clicks in really well if you don't want to play around with the navigation over here. If you want to zoom out, you just press Shift and then click, and the plus sign turns into a minus sign, minus for zooming out, plus for zooming in. The last section we're going to talk about is this little one. This is the set main color. You can click this here, and it allows you to select colors. Click OK, and it lets you sit there. If you decide, you can have 6 presets. If you decide that's not the color you want and you want to put it away for a second, you can send it over there and then click this again, and you can pick a whole new color, select OK. If that's not the one you want, you can put it there. Again, you can save up to 6 colors. This is good when you have a color scheme going on. You can choose just those specific colors and repeat them over and over again to create a sense of unity or harmony in your piece of artwork. So that is a very brief and very quick overview of what this whole process looks like. I think the only thing I didn't show you yet is if we X out of it and I want to save it, I open up here, this is our save image window, You can save it to your computer. It gives you a place to name it. It gives you about 5 different formats.